What is up, one and all? Welcome to the Cover Band Central official podcast number 201 for Tuesday, June 6th, 2023. I'm Steve Witchell in New Orleans.
I'm Tony B coming to you from New Jersey. What's happening?
Oh man, here we are. Now
Here we are.
the next 200 to go.
We crested the 200, Steve, and we are now in the.
Yes. Welcome everybody that's coming in, joining us live. Come on in and say hello. Tell us where you're from. We will say hello back. We are broadcasting live on the Cover Band Central Facebook page, in the Cover Band Central Facebook group, and on the Cover Band Central YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Click that link, click the bell, and you'll know when we go live. You'll be notified. You can check out all our previous stuff that we have on there. Juanita is in New Zealand.
What's up, Juanita from NZ?
Other side of the planet. Leo is back. What's up, Leo? In northern Minnesota. Leo's always joining us.
Welcome.
Leo is a supporter of the page as well.
Indeed.
Which anybody can do. You can become a supporter of the Cover Band Central Facebook page. There's a link in there on the page somewhere.
And you can support this podcast, Steve, with stars.
You can. During this broadcast, you can, or the replay, you can support us by giving stars, which is a digital gift that you can give. You buy them in packs. 1 star equals 1 cent. So you buy a pack of a bunch and then
give
throw
them
some
freely.
our way.
Distribute freely.
We do this all for free, so it's nice to have you guys throw us some love back. You can do that here. Daniel's here. He says, good evening. Deborah is here.
What's up?
From Oz.
Along with the wizard.
Yeah, what else do I need to talk about? I think that's it. Cover Band Central stuff.
I think we're good, man. I think you got a good intro going.
I'm not promoting it. Yeah, not promoting anything else right now.
No, just Cover Band Central.
Although I do have some stuff coming up. But
yeah,
2 weeks ago we did episode 200, which was epic. We had a bunch of guests. If you have not watched that or listened to it, you can check it out. There's a link to in the description here for the audio podcast version of this 200 to listen to. You can click that link and go back and listen to any of them or all of them.
200 hours, Steve. It's a mere, couple of months worth of time. Come on.
Yeah. Every time you do that thing, I have to. Every time, when I go and edit the audio podcast, I have to go in that and find when you do that and bring it down, just that little section.
Oh, so I'll have to pull back further from the mic.
Or just don't do it.
No, that's not good.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like...
It's very hard.
I know you're trying to make it sound like a crowd noise, but it doesn't.
It does.
It just sounds like you making...
In my headphones, it sounds like crowd noise.
Yeah, but not in the replay. It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
So, just creates more...
I'll get a crowd. John, get a crowd for next week. I got my guys working on it. They're going to get a crowd here.
Okay. Yeah. So, lots happening in my musical playing world.
Yeah, do tell, Steve. What's going on?
Yes. It is awesome, said Daniel, 200 hours.
Yes, it is indeed awesome. And it went by like the blink of an eye.
Just like that.
Just like that. Zip right by.
So, as you know, and other followers of this podcast know, that I play on Bourbon Street in New Orleans on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I've been, Juanita said, rent a crowd. There you go.
Yeah.
I got a cough again.
I just got to make a couple of phone calls and I can get a crowd at my beck and will. So, no rental necessary. Just put out the word, say I need a crowd, and then they appear.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing for the last 7 months, is playing during the day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at a club called Bourbon Bandstand with a band called Cornerstone, and then at night on the same days with a band called Rockbox at a club called Fat Cats, which is right across the street from Bourbon Bandstand.
How convenient.
Yeah. So an opportunity came up recently, and I was kind of mulling over this for a couple of weeks, what to do, and the opportunity was to play at Bourbon Bandstand at night as well on those same days with that same band, or a different variation of Cornerstone. Some of the same members and some different members.
Okay.
So I was left with a quandary, a Sophie's choice, if you will.
Conundrum.
Yeah. I had to pick Sophie's choice, like picking between two equally deserving options. So if I were to play with Cornerstone at night, that means I have to stop playing with Rockbox at Fat
Mm.
Cats.
Yeah.
I can't be two places at once. Or I could have turned down the Cornerstone thing and continued and status quo.
Yes.
Um, it was a tough decision to make because I love playing in both bands. I like the variety playing with Rockbox. Um, and it's a great band, great songs, different material, different club, different sound system, all that.
Hmm.
Um, so I considered all the different factors about this and ultimately made the decision to take the new job with Cornerstone at night and to leave Rockbox. Now,
Wow.
now for Rockbox, I was technically a sub because the bass player who normally is in the band has pursued some other business opportunities, but has still held on to his position in the band. He is also the band leader and the owner of the band, so he wasn't ready to give that up so
Mm.
easily. Um, so I was offered more money to play with Cornerstone, so that was a factor. Um, and there's a lot really to it, but I felt ultimately that that Cornerstone needed me more than Rockbox did.
Mm.
Rockbox, I felt like they'll figure it out. They'll get somebody else. They'll they're solid enough, and they know enough people where they can figure it out and move on. Whereas Cornerstone would have crashed and burned right away without me. And I mean, that makes me sound like I'm thinking so highly of myself, and that's not it. It's just,
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's just the reality of the fact that if you're not in Cornerstone, it's a bigger detriment than if you're not in Rockbox.
yeah, yeah. And Jason really insisted that he needed me, and he went to bat and got me more money.
Hmm.
So that was a factor. There's, like I said, a ton of other factors, but that was the decision I made. So,
And how
the,
much notice do you have to give?
and that was the biggest regret I had was I only gave Rockbox a week notice,
Mm.
and I really wanted to give him 2 weeks, and I'll take the blame for that. I could have made the decision a week prior, and I didn't. I was just kind of hemming and hawing about it, but and they were, they're upset, and they're still, I think, somewhat upset with me, but they're not mad at me. They're still, they're
Mm.
just like upset with the situation. And I spoke at length to, not quite at length, but I spoke to one of the guys in the band, a few of the guys in the band actually, and they all understood. They were just like, it is what it is, it just sucks, but
Hmm.
it's, you know, it's what you're doing. And I'm glad that they're upset because that means they, did value me to some degree. So, you
Yeah,
know,
they're just like, oh, that sucks, dude, but have a good one. Thanks, man.
yeah. And I could have put it as simply as Juanita is saying. She said,
Yeah.
"Well, if you're a sub, then too bad." Um, and again, she said, "Yeah, you got to do what's right for you." And that's ultimately what I decided was doing what was right for me.
Yeah.
And
Always a good
at
choice.
first I was like, no matter what decision I make, I'm going to be disappointing somebody.
Hmm.
So I felt like, and it was advised to me to just not consider that, just consider what's going to be best for me, and that's it. So that's what I did.
That's some sound advice, Steve. That's good that you're pursuing what your heart desires. And like you said, you can't be two places at one time, so they'll have to figure it out. And I'm sure there's capable bass players on the block that they could solicit to fill that spot if need be.
Yeah, sorry, Leo. Jennifer is spam, and I just blocked it. So she said, knock it off. Um, um, yeah, and what they ultimately did was one of the guys who sings in Rockbox, is playing bass. He's the guy that plays with us in the afternoons. Sonny, he plays with us in Cornerstone, plays keyboards. Jack of all trades, plays everything, and he's
But
good at everything.
question, he plays in Rockbox, right?
Yeah, he's the singer in Rockbox. What's up, Paul? He's in Mobile, Alabama.
Mm. So
He said he's new here.
is he going to continue with that other gig? He's not going to be in the nighttime Cornerstone band.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
so Nighttime Cornerstone Band is a whole thing, and I'll get into that in a minute. Um, but so Sunny is playing bass in Rockbox, and they got a female singer to cover for the entire month of June. So they're good now
Mm.
for a few weeks. So yeah, with Cornerstone, it's we don't have a keyboard player for one. We have a keyboard player which is Sunny during the day, but at night we don't have one. So we got another guitar player who did an okay job at best.
Why not get another keyboard player just to replace him?
We would if there were one
Mm.
available. Um,
So
and
not an abundance of keyboard players down in.
there's not an abundance of anything, Tony. It's crazy.
Really?
It's
That's
just
because yeah, because when I was visiting you, the time I came down, right, and we sat in and we kind of toured the town, hung out for a while. We're hanging out with Jason and a bunch of other guys, and it seemed like there was a lot of musicians, in the clique down there that were available for, like on the bench, so to speak. Not the case anymore.
no. I mean, there's always been a lot of musicians here, but there are a lot of positions available as well, and there's more positions available than there are musicians.
Mm.
It's just a numbers thing. And it is surprising because it's New Orleans. To me, New Orleans is one of the greatest music cities in the world, and there's so many venues to play. There's so many options. You would think that people would be beating down the door to get one of these jobs.
Not the case.
Not the case, and I don't quite know what it is. I think it's the people that just don't live here and they're not willing to move here. I mean, it's mostly people that live here or near here that are doing those jobs.
Hmm.
But some people travel from Mississippi. Some people travel an hour and a half from, western Louisiana or central Louisiana. And but it's a challenge. So we have a second guitar player, no keyboards, and we use 10 different people for Cornerstone this weekend in a
Wow.
band in a band that has 5 or 6 people on stage at a time.
And that was only for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday daytime, correct? That wasn't. You're not into night shift yet with those guys.
No, I'm talking about the night.
Oh, you're talking about night shift for
Well, I'm talking
Cornerstone.
about day and night. Day and night for Cornerstone was working day and night, and
Oh,
over
so
that,
hang on. So they've already started the night gig. You're just not doing it yet. That's what it sounds like, right?
no, we started it this weekend, this
Oh,
past weekend.
and so the week notice was from last week.
Was right, yeah, it was Memorial Day weekend.
Gotcha. Okay, now I understand.
I told them on like
Yeah.
Saturday.
So you're in. So that's it. That was it. You told them
That was
Saturday,
it.
gave them the 1 week, and then now this is the following weekend comes, and now you're full you're full Cornerstone day and night.
Yes, I did it for the
Gotcha.
first weekend this past weekend, and we used let
10,
me see,
10 subs.
10 different people altogether because Jason played drums Friday and Saturday, day and night, and then Sunday he had an issue with his truck that he had to get worked on, so he didn't play day or night Sunday. So
Mm.
we had a sub drummer. We had this second guitar player for the nights on all 3 nights. Sonny, of course, we have him only during the day, but on Sunday he played guitar and keyboards during the day.
Nice. So he's played the keyboard, the guitar hanging around his neck.
Yeah.
Nice.
Deborah said I look like I need some rest, and you're saying that only because I haven't shaved. That's why I look tired. But or maybe I'm old. I don't know. But
Maybe
I
that gray
got I
hair
actually got plenty of rest
make you
yesterday
look a
and
little
today.
sleepy, Steve. Look a little
Um,
sleepy.
and
Not
then
me, man. I'm well rested. I'm chipper, ready to go.
and so then the singers. One of our regular singers had to have surgery,
Mm.
so he's out right now, and he's out for indeterminate period of time.
Mm.
So we had a sub singer female during the day, all 3 days, the same person. Then we had our one regular male singer work day and night, all 3 days. It's Travis.
Hmm.
Do I have a head cold? Probably. I always have a cold. Deborah said head cold.
Could be Deborah Lee
Deborah,
Ryan.
I mean, I would love a week of rest. That would be great. But that's just not.
A
in the
week of
cars.
rest. Who has time for a week of rest, Steve? Too
Yeah,
much to do.
it's hard to have a band, said Paul, but it's even
Yeah.
harder for two, or one with
But it sure
several
is
members.
fun, Steve. Double the fun with two.
So we had a female singer with us who worked with us last weekend once. She subbed, and she did Friday and Saturday night. Fan freaking tastic singer, like
Yeah.
killer voice. Just I mean, was blowing me away on stage. I'm like, wow, this girl's really good. And we have secured her for the entire month of June for all the night gigs. So that's a big plus. And then Sunday night we had a different female singer that we've used before. Young girl, very good, also fantastic performer, talent, everything.
Now you normally don't have female singers, right? You have two
Yeah, our
guys.
regular lineup has two male singers, correct?
So do you have to change up a bunch of different tunes to accommodate the female singers, or do they
We
just sing male songs?
we do. We change up the tunes.
So what does that do to the dynamic of the band? If you're used to hearing that, Cornerstone do these 40 songs, and I like those 40 songs, or I like 30 of them, and now I go and there's 25 new ones, right?
It
You know,
I don't think it changes the dynamic all that much for us or for the crowd because the crowd's always different. So they're not.
no,
Um,
I meant dynamic of the band, right? Like you guys have, whatever, how many songs you guys do, right? But
mhm,
they're obviously not singing chick songs if they have guy lead singers, right?
right.
So now you have a girl with a real high voice, and you got to accommodate that. So what kind of concessions do you have to make? What you have to adapt to that? Like what kind of songs do you have to throw in there to to make that work?
Well, I have, and this is a great segue to our topic.
Uh-huh.
Nicely done, Tony.
Uh,
Um,
I try.
I have. I'm very very organized with stuff.
Hmm.
I have on my computer. I have folders for everything, properly labeled, properly placed. I'm like that in my everyday life with things around my house. I put things where they go. It's just a part of me. I want to be organized. If I want something, I want to know where it is,
It's good to be organized.
and I want to be able to get it. Leo said screen freeze. Is his screen freezing or is our screen freezing?
His screen's freezing. You're not frozen yet. You're unfrozen, Steve. But Leo is saying yes, you are definitely frozen.
Maybe I do have a cold because I keep coughing. All right, I said better now. Um, uh, I don't know.
It's
Uh,
going around, Steve. You could be coming down with something, but we'll update people next week.
but so yeah, I keep and save a list of songs that singers know. Anytime I work with a new singer, I make sure I get their song list, and then I oftentimes will reformat it, and then I save it in a folder. So for any singer that we use, I have a printed list of the songs that they know, which I have right in front of me at the gig. And so I've been back to kind of calling the show because we're using different people. So that's what I do. I just, and I have to base it on a lot of factors. Number one being songs that the band knows.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to kind of, so the one singer that the fantastic one sang with us Friday, Saturday, when we first worked with her last week, she came, the first day she came with a list of 3 pages of songs, all alphabetical by genre.
Hmm.
And I was so thrilled at
Yeah,
that.
super organized there.
It was easy for me to just use that, even though it was 3 pages. I had to separate them and then kind of spread them out on my. I have a music stand. I have a music stand on stage.
Were you wearing
Yeah,
cargo shorts and sandals?
yeah.
No.
No, no. Pat said no practice sessions. No, we don't practice in New Orleans. We don't rehearse.
No
We
rehearsing, Pat. Show up and go. Show and
we
go.
we play so yeah exactly. We play so often that we just kind of try to just do it at the gig. We figure stuff out at the gig, and most people are professional enough to be able to do that. And we've done this for a long time. So
So you're accustomed to
Juanita
doing it.
said, when I fill in for any band, I learn the band song list, which is a good thing to do. And I'm assuming she's a singer, maybe. But that could be for anybody, any player, any band member that if you're joining a band, you learn their list. You don't bring your list and say, "All right, guys, we're
Hey,
changing stuff in
so,
there."
so when Susie brings a list of 3 pages worth of stuff and you start
Mhm.
going through it, is there ever a point in time where like you get through the first page and you're like, uh-oh, there's only like 3 songs on here out of these 30 that we know?
No, because I glanced over it before we started, and just at a quick glance, I could tell that there was plenty of
Mm,
songs to fill the time, more than enough.
okay.
It was a treat, really. It was like, oh, this is fun now. I get to kind of pick some different songs that we don't normally do, but I know that we know. And so, in fact, for the 2 days that she did, we ended up doing a lot of different stuff from her list. So it
Was
was
there
nice.
anything on that list that you guys had to learn, or did you learn any songs because you were like, wow, that's a great song, but we don't do it, but let's do it?
No, not yet anyway. And
Mm,
that really is the plan. And I'm big on learning songs, and I know a lot of songs, and I know a lot more songs than the rest of the band really does. So it's kind of on them. And I gave the guitar player and the drummer a list, 5 songs from her list that we should pick up. And so it's up to them to learn them. And as far as I know at this point, they have not done so.
mm.
So thanks, Paul. He said very smart. And I don't know what he said I was very smart about, but thanks.
Very smart, Steve.
So uh, the other singer that was playing with us during the day, the other female, I did not have a list for her until just before I had to go into work on Friday. Like I woke up to an email and or not even an email, a text message with a picture, like a photograph of her list, not in any discernible order, and just had to quickly look through it and then format it and make my own list that I could print out.
And that was on Friday before the
On
Friday morning.
Friday, yeah, like
Mm,
Friday
mm,
morning, I had to do that.
mm. Good thing you're
So,
organized.
so it's a big, and that's the topic I chose today was about lists, and that's a big sticking point for me, especially having worked here in New Orleans for 13 years now, especially having been a band leader at times where I had to use a lot of subs, fill in people. I think it's imperative that you have a list of songs that you know. Now, and I say that, and somebody might say I'm hypocritical because I don't have my own list of songs that I know, but I've never needed one. I've never been ever in my career had a time where I was going for a gig and somebody said, "Well, let's send me a list of songs you know." That's never happened once. I would love it just for fun, just to see
But
how
what
many
happens? You
songs I
just
actually
say
know.
like, "I'm a plethora of information and I know a ton of songs," and
Well, no,
hire
typically if
me?
I play with a new band, I learn their songs. Like I think Juanita
I
was
mean,
saying.
but if you're subbing with a band, you would learn their songs, or you would roll up and say, I know, like, send me your set list and I'll tell you what I know."
Yeah, I mean, in New Orleans, it's been more of I know I check their set lists and then I tell them what I know, and whatever I don't know, I learn.
Okay.
That's what I do. Um, um, I
So,
I played in a wedding band here years ago, and we did like wedding gigs, corporate gigs, and I had to learn their songs.
of
There
course.
was no like me sending them my songs. That wasn't a thing. But in the case of where I think especially singers, it's really important for singers to have a list of songs that they sing that they know. Um,
Well, particularly if it's a female singer, right? Because it's not going to be the same, list of songs that you would have with your normal band with 2 guy singers, right? So, I mean, in that regard, it's not like if another guy showed up, he could still give you the list, but you could say, hey, he probably knows a bunch of these songs, right? But if it's a girl, like you said, you're going to have to make some adjustments so they're not singing all the guy songs.
yeah, ish. I
Yeah,
mean, I,
just
I
I'm
think
sure
both
some
are
crossover,
important.
right?
Yeah, I think both are important, and we have girls singing some guy songs that
Hmm.
are tenor vocals, like Journey and
Yeah, Sweet Child, anything
Sweet
that's the higher
Child and
register. Yeah.
AC/DC or Bon
Yep.
Jovi, because some of the guys here either can't hit it or it just wears them out.
Hmm.
So we typically will have girls sing some of those guy songs. Um, but yeah, either way, I think it's important for either gender to have a running list. A running list. Make sure you're adding songs to that. Like, oh yeah, I didn't remember that I knew that song because
Hmm.
that happened this weekend. Like on one of the girls' lists, I have her list, and then she kept saying to me, "Oh, and this song." Like, and I had to, add it. Oh, and this song, and then there was a time where I called a song, or it was a request, and we started playing it, and there was the male singer, our regular guy, and then the female singer, the sub, and we started playing it, and then the male singer threw his hands up. He's like, "I don't know this," and it was on his list. So that's why I called it, and it wasn't on her list. But then she started singing it, and she pretty much knew it.
Oh wow.
So it's like, okay, this needs to be on your list, and this needs to be either off his list or he needs to learn it.
Yeah.
Um,
Here we go, Steve. Whoa, what are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know what
it's
you're
such
talking about.
George said he did wedding gigs for 8 years, had to learn a lot of songs, and he was
Yeah.
backing a female singer. When you're playing wedding gigs too, you have to learn songs all the time. You have to learn new ones all the time because you're playing a wedding, and the bride or groom wants a particular song for a particular thing, and you know,
Well, and you need to have a deep pocket of genres in there too. Like if you're going to play
yes,
Unforgettable or At Last or some slower wedding songs, it's not just all upbeat dance rock stuff, right? There's a
right.
lot of other things in there. You got to have some versatility.
Um, so I think I'm just a big fan of lists. I keep lists all the time. To do lists I make all the time.
Hmm.
It helps to get it out of my head. Like, what do I need to do next? Oh, it's right there on paper. It keeps me organized, keeps me productive. And then especially with the band stuff, I make these lists. I format them in alphabetical order. People, when you make a list
Mm.
of songs, you can split it up by genre. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you do, make sure each song is in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right, right? So if you're going to put the effort into doing anything, you should do it to the best of your ability. So,
yes,
of course, Steve, I applaud you for putting things in alphabetical order and being very organized. If you
I was
just
taught that, and I think
started, yeah, jotting them down, it's like you have this messy list with no type of rhyme or reason, and then it's very hard to track.
I was taught that in kindergarten, maybe
Mm.
first grade, when I was 5 or 6 years old,
When you
and
were put
most
on when
people
you were
are
put on
taught
when
that.
you were put on the naughty list and they showed you what a list was, and you're like, now I understand.
Right.
Gotcha.
Um, so so that's important. But now another for people who are band leaders or people who are in my position where you have to use different players all the time, I think a list of musicians is
Hmm.
essential as well.
Yeah.
And that's something I keep as well. Um, a list of drummers, a list of guitar players, and uh, their contact information, their phone numbers. If you're good with Excel, which I'm not, but if anybody out there is good with Excel, it's great to make a spreadsheet of things like that.
Hmm.
Email address, phone numbers, any other information you want to know about them. Do they sing or not? If they're a musician, instrument player.
Yeah. You make a template and then you just like fill it in. You
Yeah.
know.
Um, Setlist Helper, Leo said it is a great app, a great tool for sharing lists. Yes, for those who want to use that for their band, for communicating within your band.
How does it work
So
with the subs when people request songs now? Like I come to see your band and I'm like, oh, I always come see this band and I requested this song, right? And I request it, and what if you can't do it?
that's a thing that we have to deal with at the time. It's tricky. We just communicate with the requester.
Mm.
Um, at Bandstand, we're very interactive with the crowd. We learn people's names. We learn where they're from. What their reason is for being in town. Blah blah
Mm.
blah. So if somebody requests something and we don't know it, we try to find something that they do know. We try to make them happy somehow.
Gotcha.
And very often people come up and they got the bill in their hand and they go up to the bucket and they're holding the bill over the bucket. Can you play a Creedence Clearwater Revival? And they're ready to drop it and they're just waiting for the answer. So we're like, yeah, we could do that one. Okay, boom, drop it. Or he'll say, can you play this song by this band? And we'll say, oh, yeah, we don't know that one, but we could do this one. And generally they'll, okay. I mean, I've never had somebody say, oh, no, forget that. They're always, anybody that's coming up to tip the band and they have their money out, they want to tip the band.
Yeah, and the next guy's not coming up and being like, you know what? I really didn't like that song, so I'm taking my $10 back.
Yeah, no, that
See you
never
later.
happens. Never happens. So it's challenging, but we adapt and we deal with it. And a big challenge too is because I use this tip app. There's
That was
two
my next
different ones that
question.
I use,
Hmm.
and so I had to make new lists last weekend to accommodate the different combination of singers.
For the QR code, you mean? When I go up
Right,
to click on to see what song I want to request, you needed a new list with a different set of songs on it to
right,
accommodate the players that you had.
right.
Wow.
So it's not only do I have to make the list of the songs that the singer knows in alphabetical order, nice big font so I can read it on a sheet of paper on
Yep.
stage. I also have to input those into the app, and I have to do them one at a time. It's time consuming. I have to type each song out and
Yeah, sure.
blah blah blah, and then combine it with another person's list and make it, So, but for the
A lot to do.
daytime for this past weekend, I didn't. I used one of the apps where I have a general master list, and and it was fine. Um,
But if I work off that list, Steve, and I'm going to tip you through the tip app, right? Doesn't it? Don't I say, hey, I'm tipping you $5. Can you play this Van Halen song?
mhm.
It doesn't go through until you accept it, right? Because if you don't know it, can you decline that tip, or does it go? It just comes.
On one of the apps I can. On the other one I can't. So the one I was using during the day this past weekend, I can do that. So so that gives me kind of an out. I have the master list, but I have a different singer on stage, so it's a little roll of the dice. But it worked out fine where songs that people requested we were able to do. But yes, that is a choice. If somebody requests a song, it comes up on there, I can decline it and not take their money. But I will always say it on the mic. I'll say, and it says has their name, so I'll say, "Oh,
Right.
Michelle requested this song. We don't know that, so I'm not going to take your money." And 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, "God, take the money. Don't worry about it." So as long as you have that transparency,
Sure.
I think it works fine. But as it turns out, too, and I say it every year, after Memorial Day, it is very slow here in New Orleans. It's people
Mm.
don't come here for the summer. It's too hot. It rains a lot, and it's just people going to beaches and things like that.
So what do you basically have June, July, and August where it's just going to be pretty low key?
Yeah,
Will it be dead to where you may have a day where they say we're not having the day band today because there's nobody here, or you'll play to two people if they have them?
that's possible. Not likely because they like to keep things going.
Hmm.
They like to keep things in operation, and things do happen. June, there's weddings. That there's people that come to New Orleans specifically to get married. Paul said, "Steve, how do I do it?" That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I do all this. Um,
He's very motivated.
yeah. But yeah, for part of the day, each of the daytime gigs, but really Sunday, we were playing to absolutely nobody except for the staff.
Hmm.
And there was periods of time we're playing to two people. It was very slow this past weekend.
And do you guys have fun with it? Like stretch it, like, hey, let's trade 4 bars around the horn a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
If you're just like having fun.
I do it especially when I'm singing because then I can kind of control what's going on. And there's a couple songs where I'll do that. I'll like, like I'll throw it to the keyboard player, throw it back to the guitar player,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's. I mean, we were talking about it 2 weeks ago when we had with Mike and those guys during episode 200 about gigs when there's nobody there, and that can be sometimes the most fun and the biggest learning experience where you're trying out new songs and
Hmm.
you make mistakes but you don't care because there's nobody there and it's a little more loosey goosey. So yeah, so there's a benefit to it too, and I always look at it like that. I never get bummed out if there's nobody in the room or not a lot of people in the room. I know the reality of this.
Well, it's like a paid rehearsal at that point.
Exactly.
You know?
We're getting paid anyway.
Yeah,
We have to be there anyway, so might as
absolutely.
well have fun and try to do the best we can. But another challenge that we face, and I posted about this on Facebook a couple of days ago. Recently, this is really kind of just started, over the last 4 or 5 months.
Hmm.
A bunch of guys with motorcycles, not Harleys, but like those crotch rocket
Uh-huh.
motorcycles, come and they park on Bourbon Street right in front of the club. A whole line of them right in front of Bourbon Bandstand where I play, facing out towards the street. So the back of the bike is faced towards the club. I mean, a line of 20, 25,
Okay.
and they blast music. Blast it. Like as loud as it's louder
Fro-
than we
fro-
are in the club.
From the radio on their respective bikes.
Yes.
So they tune all 20 bikes to the same channel.
No, not everybody is blasting music. Like
Oh,
somebody, I guess
the
the
ringleader, we'll
the
call him.
leader,
Yes.
whatever. And it's always just like hip hop, offensive, loud.
And nobody goes outside and says you got to move along, like from the club or the
There's
police.
no
Nobody.
and there's no there's something going on. And other people have seen this and said, they're doing it intentionally. And it's so we have kind of the doors open. We have kind of windows that
Maybe
are
it's the
open.
guys in Rockbox. They're getting back at you for bailing on the night
No,
game.
this has been happening for months too, and it affects Rockbox as well across the
Right
street.
across the street, sure. Of course, how could it not?
It's loud. And we've been having to deal with this forever. And it's not only that, but it's like there's a couple windows like sort of up top that are open, and the doors are open, and the bikes a bunch of them are on. So there's exhaust fumes
Yeah,
coming
fumes pouring into the club, right?
into the club, loud music and exhaust fumes, and it's unbearable. It makes it very very difficult to work.
I just can't believe that the bouncer or the owner of the bar doesn't go outside and say, "You got to turn the bikes off. You can't be having your bike idling here. You're filling my club up with carbon monoxide. What's wrong with you? Move on."
I don't think these are reasonable people to talk to.
Then you get the most unreasonable guy that you have in the bar to go out and talk some sense into
No,
him.
I mean the bikers. I don't think they're
Yeah,
reason. I
I'm
don't think
saying
they're.
so. You go if they're unreasonable, you send a similarly unreasonable person to go out there and deal with it.
There's nobody to do that. There's
Wow.
like we have maybe a couple door guys who are just.
And this is only happens right outside the door of where you're playing, Steve, or do they mobilize down the block like 6 or 7 doors down and set up camp there too?
As far as I know, it only happens in front of our club.
Huh.
And I've seen before where cops have been called, but I think I saw it like once, and it happens every weekend, and there's no cops to be found. You can't park on Bourbon Street. It's not legal
It's the
to
same
park
20
on Bourbon
hooligans,
Street during that time.
scoff
But
laws.
somehow these guys are allowed to park here and be disturbing the peace, and nobody does a thing about it. So I'm thinking there's something. Maybe one of these bikers is a cop. Maybe they're paying off the cops. I mean, who the fuck knows? But it is very very challenging.
Well, I challenge you, Steve, to go out on your next break and kick over the first bike into the other 20 like dominoes
Somebody,
and blow them all down
one of my friends said that too.
and be like, What's up, guys? Gotta learn
I
the
would be
music.
I would be
Thank you.
killed. I would be actually physically killed if I did that.
Maybe.
No, not maybe. I would
Unless,
be.
unless you
I
were the killer, Steve. You went out there like a killer, kicked all the bikes
yeah.
over and said, now pick up your
And
bikes and move along before I do the same to all 20 of you guys.
like Joe said, maybe the cops would rather not deal with it, and that's possible too.
Yeah, it could be.
Um, George said he'll come do it. All right, so George,
All right, George, come on down.
just kick those bikes over.
He's got to find some crazy guy. He's a big crazy dude.
But then Sunday, so they're out there, they're making all this noise, and
So
then
wait, this is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Like they come
oh
multiple
yeah,
days? Really?
every day, yeah.
Wow. But not at night. They're gone by dinner time.
No, at night. At night,
Oh,
that's when
oh,
they're
they come.
there.
Oh, nighttime.
They
Not,
come like late afternoon. They park themselves there and they stay there
and
through
that's
the
it. They
night.
just hang out there. They don't walk up and down. They don't go to clubs. They just hang out and play tunes on the bikes and hang.
That's it.
Hmm.
And socialize with each other and just
Yeah.
they're causing a general nuisance.
Hmm.
Um, but so Sunday, I mean, it's like we'll play a song, we'll stop, and then you just get this blast of music from outside. So when we're playing, we can hear ourselves, and the people that are in the club can hear us.
Yeah, but as
But
soon as you stop playing, you hear
but
that.
but people outside can't hear us, and that's how we get people in the club. People walking by hear a song they like, and they walk in the club. That's the draw. But if these guys are outside playing all this music, people outside can't hear us. But I would try to string a bunch of songs together so we didn't have to deal with that. So at least the people that were in there, and it wasn't, again, it was like 4 or 5 people maybe Sunday night that were in there. And then I don't know, a couple hours into it, the girl that was singing, Colleen, she looks at me and she's like, "They're gone." And I turn around and I see all the bikes are gone. And then people started coming in.
Hmm.
Not a ton of people, but some more people started walking in. So I was like, okay. Then, like 20, 30 minutes later, it started freaking pouring buckets of rain, like hurricane level rain coming
Wow.
down, wind, everything. And then more people started coming in because it was raining.
Yeah.
Like I said, outside. And it turned out it's so interesting because so Rockbox is playing across the street at Fat Cats, and I'm playing at Bandstand. And I look outside at this rain, and the rain is blowing. The wind is blowing towards Fat Cats. So the rain, and they have this corner entrance that's with the doors wide open, and there's no overhang. There's nothing covered.
And the rain's just blowing
And the
in.
rain, I'm looking through the window, and the rain is just blowing into Fat Cats.
Oh,
Like the
jeez.
wind is just blowing it right in. So they shut the door, and that band stopped playing. But now we're across the street. We're on sort of the backside of that and protected against the wind. And so people were drawn to walk into our club.
Mm.
So Sunday night late, we had a room. Like we have a room of people
Yeah.
seeking shelter from the weather, and the other club closed. So now it's like we're only the only game in town. So that's how the weekend ended, where at the end of the night we had a room, so we ended up playing till midnight, and it was fun. It was cool. We I think we repeated a couple songs, but it was nicer to have a room of people in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. For sure.
So that was that the my weekend really in a nutshell.
Bikes, hip hop, and hurricane rain. I
Right.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it, Steve.
Yeah. So who knows what's to come with this?
Yeah. Interesting situation with the bikers. You got to see what's driving that.
With that and just the whole dynamic of the band situation of using different players, we really need a keyboard player. So anybody out there that can play keyboards and wants to play in New Orleans, you can have a job this
Come on
weekend.
down.
You could have a job this weekend. So if you're a keyboard player or you know a keyboard player that is looking for work, you could be playing this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, and get paid to play on the one of the most famous streets in the world,
That's right.
Bourbon Street.
With one of the hottest bands on Bourbon Street. At one of the hottest clubs in Bourbon Street.
That's right. Paul played at the Blues Street Club on Bourbon, He plays harmonica. I
Maybe
think
you
that's
could use
BBC.
harmonica instead of keyboards. Try that out.
Joe Kelly said it would be a long drive, but
But
it looks like
potentially,
he's playing a bass in that picture, doesn't it?
yeah, hard to
But
tell. But
if Joe, if you're a keyboard player, come on down.
maybe
And
Joe's
so what if
multi.
it's a long drive?
Maybe he's multi-instrumental.
20 years for Paul.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe he's multi instrumental. You don't know. I really need to kind of figure that out and reach out to that CBC community about the availability of work in New Orleans.
Yeah, and I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of people that you could ping this off of to see if someone can help you with your keyboard problem.
700. We just hit 700,000
Yeah, it's awesome.
on the page.
So
A
almost
couple
three
days ago.
quarters of a million people. Someone has to be able to play keyboards and
And
lives
be
close and
available.
be available for coming through the summertime to be able to play in New Orleans. How could that not? How could that not be, Steve? Come on,
It's got to be.
got to start
Uh,
putting the word out.
and we did have another singer who didn't work with us but came in who was originally from Australia and was living in South Carolina and moved here just this past weekend
Hmm.
with her, I guess her boyfriend, who is in the military and is stationed here for the next 3 years. And I've been in communication with her for a couple of weeks. She sent me a video. She's really good. She's young, beautiful girl, and seems like a very sweet girl too. And she stopped by on Saturday, came up and sang a couple songs with us, did really well. We had, we talked about the situation and went back and forth. She too sent me a list, which was not in alphabetical order and not by genre.
So is that a demerit, Steve?
A little bit, yeah.
But would she have the availability to join the band as a full-time member, though? Could she do
Yeah, she's
day
interested in
night?
that. So
Hmm.
we've had that conversation about that. So I think singers wise, we're in good shape. We need a keyboard player or another guitar player. I think or another guitar player because our guitar player that works during the day in Cornerstone does not want to do 6 gigs on the weekend.
And
He
you have
has
enough songs that warrant two guitarists?
Well, yeah, because a second guitar can kind of double for a keyboard in a way.
Hmm.
We do songs like even "Don't Stop Believin'." A guitar player can start it, rather than the piano part, um, and it just makes it sound fuller, when you have two guitars.
Nice.
Guitar player, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of songs where a guitar player can play rhythm while the other one's soloing,
Hmm.
um, and yeah. But ideally, keyboards.
So you got your work cut out for you, Mr. Steve.
Rhythm and beat, like Leo said.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But ultimately, after all this being said, ultimately, really what I want to do is not play on Bourbon Street anymore.
that's the summation of this whole conversation is that you're ready to not play on Bourbon Street anymore.
I've been doing it for 13 years,
Uh-huh.
and I'd rather work on Cover Band Central all the time.
Mm.
That's more funner.
Yeah, but you go through these phases and then,
I do, I
you
know.
miss playing and then you get back into it. And like you said, you don't know if the 3 day doubles are going to last forever, right? So you ride it out as long as you can,
Right.
you know, make some good bread and then whatever will come, will come.
Yeah, yeah.
Embrace each opportunity, Steve, as it comes your way,
I
right?
am,
You
and
never know what's going to happen.
I'm figuring that as it's been, things will change
Oh, they
as they
always
do,
do. Yeah, they
as
always
they
do.
do. So I'm just trying to roll with it as it is, and like you said, yeah, make the money. But my focus really is on CBC.
Mm-hmm.
As we approach a million, I think by early next year, we're going to hit a
Yeah.
million
Yep.
followers. And there's a lot of things, there's a lot more things I want to do with that, but there's a lot more things I want to do musically too.
Mm.
I think I've done everything I can do on Bourbon Street.
Okay, it's
There's
valid.
nothing more I need to accomplish.
Your bucket list has been checked off for the Bourbon Street bucket list.
Right.
So now you need to just set some new targets, Steve, some new goals, some new
Yeah.
aspirations, right? And mix it up a little bit, you
I
know?
would jam with other people, play different songs, be challenged as a
Yeah.
player,
There you go.
have to stretch myself. I've been playing for 40 years, but I still really feel like I have so much to learn.
Of course, that's why we're consummate learners, you know?
And George said I'll miss playing out, and he's right. I do need to keep playing with bands, but I'll always, and throwing back to the dearth of musicians in this city, I'll always get fill-in work. There will always be a time when somebody's going to need a bass player, and I'll get called.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, Steve, right? Like we've both been there where, you go from playing, maybe you might have months like when you're not doing the 3-day doubles, right? Because you're doing 6 gigs a weekend, every weekend, right? So that's
Hmm.
24 gigs a month. But maybe you're playing, you're playing 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, right? Same thing. So you're doing, anywhere from 15 to 20 gigs a month. But then you break back down to just maybe 2 to 3 times a month, like I'm doing now. And
Hmm.
it's nice, because you still get the taste, you still get to play, you still get the experience, and you're not getting overrun by the daily grind of play, 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 right? So you might play 2 weekends in a row, then you have 1 or 2 off, or you might play one, and now we got like summer concert series coming up. So it's different venues, different crowds, different towns. It's not the same room, you know. So it's like you said, it evolves into what it evolves, you know. And even in my career, I've had opportunities where we played a real lot, and then we played less, and it's like you make the best of both, right? Because when you're playing a lot, it's not going to last forever, right? Like it may go
Hmm.
strong for a year or two, but you're not going to play, you know, 20 gigs a month for 10 years, more than likely not. So after that runs its course, then, you hop onto some other train, right? And you get another band going, another situation, or another opportunity comes up, or someone comes up and wants to do original music. Imagine that. That's going to be a topic for Cover Band Central. How about original
Sure.
music on Cover Band Central, right?
Yeah, I love to do originals too. And I didn't put our names up. Tony Tornado. There you
Yeah. Hurricane didn't rhyme, so I couldn't use that.
go. Yeah, I just want to do it all, and I love playing with other people, with new people. And that was part of my decision with Rockbox too, because they have their show. They play basically the same show, same songs night after
Mm-hmm.
night after night. And I've been doing it for 7 months now. And like, all right, I got it. I get it. I've been doing it. There isn't much more challenge left in there. Um, and I would still enjoy it, if I were to keep doing it. But I just want something different.
Now you
Uh,
want the challenge of managing 15 musicians over the course of 3 nights on a weekend
right.
and calling a show off of, sheets. Keeps you on your toes, Steve. Keeps you excited.
It does. I
Maybe
don't
that's
like.
why you're looking tired tonight, Steve, because you're doing a lot, man.
I am doing a lot.
Maybe she's onto something.
I don't like being complacent. It's just that's boring to me. And I feel like there's a little too much complacency on Bourbon Street too.
Well, because it's the routine, right?
Yeah.
It's the same, like you said, same club, same songs, same band, most of the time the same members,
Hmm.
same noisy bikes outside. It's the same, same. It's like Groundhog Day.
I should
Maybe you
try
got
to
to
get
mix
this
it
one.
up. Like maybe you guys all wear like blue tuxedos to a gig. Maybe one day you dress up like Miami Vice at a gig. Maybe one day you dress up like 80s at a gig. You guys do anything
Sure.
like that? You do any type of
No.
no?
No.
No, you just show up and this is it. You get what you see is
Yeah.
what you get.
Yeah.
No wigs, no sunglasses, nothing.
No. It's challenging enough to just make sure that we have all the musicians that we need on stage for
Let
the
alone
gig.
props and costumes.
Right.
I understand. It's a lot with props, wigs, wardrobe, makeup. You need a whole crew, especially when the roadies don't show up.
Yeah, there's
You know?
planning involved. I
Yeah.
mean, the ideas, the planning, and the execution.
But that's why you make lists, Steve. You just list
That's
stuff
why you
out,
make
and
lists
then
of
you
things.
can have ideas when they come to you. You're like, oh man, I got this great idea. Let me write it down on my idea list. Right? Then you have a list of all kinds of good ideas, and then they're
Yeah.
organized. And you can put them in alphabetical order, and you're good to go.
A wish list is
A
good.
wish list, yes, an
Yeah.
action list too. So
Action list.
we should finish that, Steve. Like we talked about lists. But is there any type of organization of the list themselves to where when you have something on a list, if it doesn't get done, it gets carried over to a new list?
Do I have that?
Yes. Like, do you have task lists, or are you mainly using set lists and organizational lists and song lists
For me,
and
like personally,
contact
I
lists?
always have a list. I have a notepad that I write things down on all the time,
Mm,
list of things that I need to do. And yeah, if I don't accomplish something, it gets carried over to the next list or the next to do list or whatever.
gotcha.
Yeah, Joe said time to utilize Excel. I love Excel, but I'm not very good at it. So I need to kind of take an Excel tutorial
Yeah, it's
myself.
pretty intuitive, dude. You can go online and just watch an Excel thing on YouTube, and within a half an hour, you're proficient enough to be able to navigate it.
George said I need to take care of myself before I really get sick. I'm kind of always sick, so
Yeah,
I don't know. Deborah
you do.
said
Yeah, you do want to take care of yourself, though, Steve, because
I
there's
do
a lot
though.
of things going
I
around.
eat well. I take my vitamins. I
Yeah,
go
no, I do
to
too. But I was sick 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Like, just came on. It was a bad cough, and
yeah. Deborah said I journal daily and devote certain days to projects. Um,
yes.
I journal quite a bit too. And George said I always have a punch list. Punch list is great, especially if you're
Mm,
working with somebody else.
yep.
Having a punch list. I got this done. You got this done. You assign tasks to people, and that's a good thing too. If you're a band leader, having a list too, and delegating to other people, having assignments, and having a punch list, make sure that projects get done. I think there's very few bands that do that, and most bands should do that.
Well, like we talked about on episode 200, right? It's up to you how far you want to take your band, right? If you want to put a lot of time and effort into it and raise yourself and raise the bar, right? And get to better gigs and better paying gigs and play it in front of more people and hone the band and polish, the performance and the show. It's great. If you just want to go to the corner bar and play once a month and not put any effort into it, it's great too if you're enjoying it, right? But if you really have wherewithal to make the most out of your situation, then by all means, yeah, sky's the limit on that.
Right.
As long as you put in the time. And like you said, a lot of people don't, but I think you have to, Steve, when you get to a certain level. Like I know we have rehearsal, we have schedules. I put together agendas. We have songs that we're tracking, that we're working on, low hanging fruit ones, more, mission ones that are going to take a little while to get down. So it's good to have lists and targets that you can shoot for. And it's a way that you can also measure your growth and say, wow, look how we've evolved from, then till now.
Yes. I like it. Yes.
Yeah, so lists are good. I'm a fan.
Yeah, keeping a record of things too. It's good for nostalgia if you're one of those nostalgic types.
Mm.
You can always look back at things that you did.
It's always funny too to look back like 25 years ago at set lists from bands you were in,
Yeah.
right? And look at the songs you were playing.
It's funny looking at them now and seeing that the
Yeah.
same songs.
Yeah, no, I don't have that issue at all.
I do. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for 201.
Yeah.
Coverbandcentral.com is where you can go for all things Cover Band Central. Sign up for a profile for you, your band, or both. It is free.
Free.
You want to contact me or Tony, Steve at coverbandcentral.com is how you do that. You can send stars, as we mentioned before, but you can also tip us at paypal.me/coverbandcentral. Show us some love.
Love it.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. The link is in the description for that. And check out all the previous podcasts too. The link is in the description for that as well. And the audio podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Cover Band Central.